Welcome to the Economic Development and Energy Committee budget meeting. Everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Legislator Adonisio.
Present.
Legislator Crowley.
Present.
Chairman Goldman.
Present. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 3, budget review. First item on this is dues, page number 51 in our book. Michelle, would you like to tell us what dues we pay?
Oh, sure. We pay NACO, NISAC Association fee, Patterns for Progress, and American Legislative Council.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about this from the committee?
Do we have anyone here for Patterns for Project?
Okay. How much do we do dues for Patterns for Progress?
10,000.
10,000?
I didn't hear regional council, did I?
Oh, regional council is in there
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. EDC gives 1/3, IDA gives their 1/3, and then we give our 1/3 as a contribution.
Okay, since there's no one here for the Pattern for Progress, I'm going to ask to table this, and we can bring it back this month to discuss this. Do I have a second?
Second.
Excuse me,
Can't bring it to the next
We
meeting.
have to rules.
Yes?
what meeting are you tabling it to, because there wouldn't be notice tonight?
Well, we don't, there are some questions about what Patterns for Progress does. So, since there's no one here to tell us what Patterns for Progress does, we table this and bring it back at the Rules Committee or another committee.
Which meeting would you like to bring it to?
Repeat that?
Which meeting would you like to bring it to?
I'd like to bring it back to Rules. Legislator?
I've been working with and using Pattern for Progress for 17 years. They're a great resource for the Hudson Valley. They're the ones who, when I'm asking for data to give us information, that's the resource I look to. If you guys were at the Economic Development Committee breakfast, and the executive director, I'm sorry I forgot his name because he's new, or Adam, right? Adam Bosch, right, was there, and he gave a great presentation. He had all of the data, all the answers, all of the facts that we need to legislate. That is the one organization I look to whenever I have to research, any of these many things that we do. I look to their extensive studies. I mean, if you don't mind, I could just show you online and explain. Like, I can't rattle it off at the top of my head, but the studies that they do this year, I forgot. Does anybody remember what they said their theme was?
Child care crisis, the child care crisis, housing.
Housing crisis,
Which is the #1 factor that we face across the country. That was one of the things that we realized during that meeting, that is like the basis for all of the other things that we have to deal with in funding. So they provide research, planning, and educational training throughout the region. So in each year, they do an extensive project and provide the data. So this year it will be childcare. They provided all the data that the Office of Senior Resources used for, determining this is the fastest growing population in Putnam County, things like that.
Okay,
So-
it is a very good, viable organization. I just would like to hear a little bit more about them, and I'm sure other members would also. So we can bring it up at the Rules Committee. Would you be willing to bring it up at the Rules Committee?
If you
Okay.
want
And then we do it
Center
that
of the-
that way.
That's
Legislator?
tomorrow night.
Well, I have a
Yeah.
concern because it is tomorrow
Right.
night, and that might not give ample notice to the person to come to the committee meeting, number one. I think this is something we've been contributing to for quite a while. So we're looking at the expenses here. I'm not sure that if people aren't here, that we're necessarily going to table every single agenda item to get an overview during the budget process. So I would respectfully ask that you consider not tabling it.
Through the chair, we could just ask for extra information and have them send it to us through the email.
If I may, I would just encourage, through the chair, this legislature to invite these organizations throughout the year to the committee meetings and not do this during budget.
I agree.
Let's let it.
I have a question for Commissioner Lewis. You see, obviously, so far, we've only 45% is what we've expended. Are we gonna get to the
Yes.
18,000?
Yes, actually, we just processed the bill today.
Okay.
The 10,000.
So we're right on target. Thank you very much.
You got it.
Any other comments? Okay, I did make a motion, but I will rescind that motion, and I would like them to come sometime soon to discuss really what they do. Okay. Any other comments for dues? Okay, moving on to tourism, pages 180 and 181. We have Tara Keegan with us, Director of Tourism. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Chairman.
Item 106-41000, special services, $5,000 increase. What are we going to be using that for? Page 180.
Excuse me, could you repeat that number, Bill?
Page 180, what number was that?
Page 180.
What number?
180, one number? What number is that? 106-41000, title Special Services.
1064100.
$5,000 increase.
They're all that's all the same number.
54682.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
54682.
It's halfway down the page. Only $5,000 request.
I got it.
I could speak to it.
Yes.
You want me to speak to it or?
Yeah, please.
All right.
Sorry
Based
about
on,
that.
based on the notes that I have here, that 4,000 of it would be for the youth business market.
Okay, yes, okay, because I
And then
wasn't
the
sure what.
$1,000 would be just for the rent, the 250.
Okay, so, thank you, that's what,
Thanks, Mike.
just one
That's
clarification.
great. Sorry to put you on
So,
the spot.
with some of the, being that a good chunk of our portion of our budget is through I Love New York, but there's some aspects under the discretion of I Love New York we can't utilize funding for. Such as the youth business market, being that it's a very local, specific project. I Love New York wouldn't allow us to use that kind of funding for promotion, for advertising. We would have to use a line of ours to pay for the funding for advertising for the project. Another example would be our Rev 250. As Rev 250 is coming up, we're starting some processes. We have some projects in mind. And also with advertising, with promotion through Rev 250, I Love New York may not necessarily utilize that funding, so that's why we had to make sure we had a specific line to help cover those costs. And that's only just a 2-year line as well. So this is just a temporary line to cover those expenses.
That's great, thank you. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the legislature?
So, budget line 54664, advertising was increased by $5,000. Is that specifically what you're speaking to?
So,
for the
yeah,
additional
again, it's for
advertising?
promotional for local advertising. Prior to me coming in, I know Tracy Walsh did have some issues with I Love New York. She had to send in some information in regards to funding for the Putnam County Fair and for a showcase. So next year, when we send in for advertising for that, yes, it's a local fair that we try to target for the tri-state of Connecticut to come over, Westchester, Dutchess, Orange for residents come over. I Love New York may say no. So we need to make sure we need that funding advertising for that fair costs roughly around $7,000. That's just for the fair and 4-H showcase. So we need to make sure we have extra funding in the advertising line, just to cover that, along with the new youth business market, which was successful. We want to continue making that successful. Other such local events like the Holiday on the Lake, we need to make sure we have funding to cover all this stuff, and that wouldn't be necessarily, I Love New York would not necessarily agree to.
But through the chair, I understand the in-county events that we sponsor, but why wouldn't I Love New York cover the outside advertising for Westchester and
I
Connecticut?
can speak to that, since I had
Okay.
to write the report before Tara came on. And I was quite shocked. They accepted it this year. I created a whole justification. We can't fix, and we can't fix part of their problem, and we've chosen very proudly not to fix the other. They don't feel that we are because we don't charge for parking and admission, they take a real negative view toward that, because it doesn't make our ROI higher. And I tried to explain to them that that's a pride point for us, that families can come from all over and they don't have to drop $15 a person to walk through the gate and $10 a person to park. And that we, at that point, I spoke to the committee, had no intention of changing that practice, that for 50 years and counting, a few more, that had been a real pride point for the fair and for Cornell. And then the other one is because we don't have enough hotels to make it a multi-day fair event. So they did accept our advertising in their budget this year. But they gave me a caveat, which I, when I reviewed and went over everything with Tara, that we're going to have to do a year-to-year justification for them. And we want to be prepared, because I think, and I know Tara agrees, I don't mean to take up her time, we don't want to charge for parking and admission for that family event. We do draw, you were collecting license plates, we do draw New Jersey, Connecticut, we follow.
Pennsylvania, there was a Massachusetts like so, and there was even, when I was there was actually people from England, a couple from England was actually at the fair. They were just in the area, they actually attended. So to cover our bases and making sure that the tradition we bring up, because traditionally it brings a large crowd into the county. There's maybe at least over 1,000 people show up per day, as long as the weather is cooperative. But we want to make sure these kind of events are successful and not rely on I Love New York just in case for next year or even years down the road they may not agree with the justification. So we want to make sure there is funding in the advertising line to make sure we don't lose out on bringing people in.
And in addition to that, it's just a pride point for me growing up here, right? I've been to the fair since I was a kid, and I don't think my parents could have taken me if you had to pay for parking and admission, and my sister and our friends. You can speak to this more, but also prior to Tara coming on, there were a few projects that we couldn't take part in regionally with our partners in Hudson Valley Tourism, because they are not really beholden to I Love New York funds. They do one project with the funds, and I'm not judging, it's apples and oranges, but they have such a large advertising budget. They have hotels and they have other things. They do one small project with I Love New York and then they move along. So we wanted to be part of an advertising co-op with them, and they said, we're sorry, but we don't want to have to be under the guise of I Love New York. We're going to do it out of our local money. We didn't have that money. So.
Yeah, no, that's right. And having that extra luxury, we were able to, as being a part of our county, being involved with Hudson Valley Tourism, which is with the TPAs throughout the Hudson Valley. There is co-op agreement opportunities that Putnam can be a part of, but unfortunately we don't have the same impact funds. There was one that came up that I thought would be a brilliant opportunity to be involved with, but then when the other counties were like, I don't want to do it, when I heard, and when I heard the prices, I was like, yeah, no. Even with being in the co-op, it was still pricey. But could have been a good opportunity, yes, but again, we decided not to go through with it. We count our pennies and try to be as fiscally conservative as possible with the funding, but again, we need to have some wiggle room to be able to cover the costs. As we've seen, years of pricing in ads, whether it's in digital or paper, has gone up. So we need to make sure we be able to hit the demand and make sure every avenue is covered.
Thank you. You guys done a great job marketing, tourism for the county, and looking forward to, this coming year and future years. Legislator?
Yes. I'd like to go to line 5100. Could you please explain I'm looking at the 2025 tentative. What's the $37,800 increase?
That's personnel.
The person
Oh, we can't talk about that yet. Sorry.
Okay.
I hate when that happens.
That's the first thing.
Any
that
other,
jumped out to me.
Sorry, I wouldn't.
Hi. So I'm just looking at special services, that was a 5,000 increase, and below that miscellaneous is a $5,000 decrease. Are those directly related, or what was a $5,000 decrease? For miscellaneous.
I don't think you wanted them to be.
Looks like you requested 12 and you got 7.
They moved the 5,000 out of the miscellaneous
That's what I was
for that
thinking.
specific.
Yeah,
So
Okay,
it's
so
still in that,
just to
it's
charge
still,
that specific.
yeah.
That's what I
Yep.
think it was.
Okay, that's what I thought.
any other legislators?
Just,
Legislator?
so, can you give an example of what the miscellaneous is used for? And I'll get to my point.
Could be used for specifics for promoting Film Putnam, which is one, to cover some aspects with vendors that we want to make sure we have some funding utilized towards the end of the year. We have some vendors that does our ads with either creating or adjusting the sizes, so we want to make sure we do have funding set aside, especially towards the end of the year, to be able to utilize towards the end. We have extra funding.
If I may still, thank you for that. I understand now that the special services line is a new line created for the business market exclusively. It'd be good just to correct, is that right? Is it all?
It'd be a split of like Rev 250, but also as well as the market.
Okay.
We have $4,000 for the youth business market and $1,000 for the Rev 250.
Do you want to know what Rev 250 is?
Yes.
So, sure, that's not a problem. So Rev 250 is a commission that the state has created to pretty much promote the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. So that's I had the same question when I walked in. My first meeting as when I took on the job was with Hudson Valley Tourism, was during a Teams meeting. They were bringing up Rev 250, and I just raised my hands like, don't want to sound a little out there, but I was like, what is Rev 250? And they told me, and I thought this was a brilliant idea. Light just went off my head, because Putnam is, their main tourist attractions is the natural beauty as long as the historical value. Putnam County has enriched in history with American Revolution on both sides of the county. So being that this commission has been created to highlight the 250th anniversary, which is coming up in 2026, we want to make sure Putnam is highlighted a lot. So we have already met with the local historians saying how intrigued we are with this concept and want to work with them to highlight whatever events they are throwing, any big picture stuff. So that's why we wanted a line to help that's specifically oriented to Rev 250.
So if I may, back to my point of why I'm asking these questions about this line item, it's obviously a new line item has been created, and just for your benefit, I've been asking for years for tourism support, not in the way of advertising. And I realize that most of the money you get is from I Love New York program, but obviously now we're creating more money and more programs, and we're still falling short in a town where we don't see just one person from England. We see, hundreds every weekend from everywhere, all over the country and all over the world. And again, they're inundated, the small village of Cold Spring Canal. And I don't know conversations the county executive had with the mayor, if there was some asks for this, but just putting it out there once again. I understand that we're trying to boost tourism in you know, on the east side of the county, but the fact is that we're run over, inundated, battered in Cold Spring and Phillipstown with tourism, and the money comes back to Putnam County. The money pays our salaries, the money pays for everything and every service that is only here on the east side of Putnam, and they're pretty frustrated over there, and I can understand why. None of that money is shared. We face the burden of this tourism that we keep putting money into to advertise. And I think we have to think about the tourism and the way we orchestrate this budget a little differently and find some support.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you for doing a great job.
Thank you.
Moving on to public and private partnerships. We have the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, page 182. Someone leave that book there?
No, it's a tentative budget, I guess.
I think
No,
that
no,
stays there.
That's
Okay,
ours.
just stay there.
Stays there, okay. Richard Weiss, I'm pinch hitting for Kathleen Abels, who
Thank you
is
for coming.
away, and I'll try to do the best I can. I've been dealing with this organization now for 12 years. This is my final year, I'm mandated off, so this is my swan song, my swan appearance.
Very nice.
So hope I hit a home run.
Yes, you will. Any questions for the budget for the EDC?
Just a comment, that was a great event you guys put on.
Oh, we loved
Yeah,
it,
that
and
was really great.
it's the second we've had. We're planning to do, again, another one next year, but maybe something in the spring, because it's brought a lot of interest to the county, to the EDC. We've got a lot of phone calls. I mentioned Adam Bosch, he did a tremendous job. We've gotten good speakers, and it's enlightened a lot of people about what's going on in Putnam County, and of course, the good and the bad. So it's, we had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a great event the other day, by the way.
Great,
Yes.
thank you so much. She'll be delighted to hear it. I mean, she was on pins and needles about the whole thing, because we planned this for, obviously, everybody's been involved in something like this over the years. But we worked on this 4 or 5 months. We've had strong support. We have a very strong board at this point, representing all of Putnam County. So we're delighted to, I'm leaving this organization in good hands at this point.
Thank you for all
Any
your
other-
dedication over the years.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Any
And
you.
Kathleen
comments?
Abels, I can't say enough about her.
Very
She's
nice.
been tremendous.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have
You
good
did a
day.
wonderful job, see that?
Thank you so much.
Home run.
Home run, there you go.
Out of the park.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
I'd like to mention an organization that is not requesting money this year, but the Putnam County IDA has done a great job the last few years. And in 2022, we gave them $40,000, and we haven't given them money since then. So I want to basically say thank you to the IDA. Item number 4 is other business. Any other business? Seeing as no other business, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.